Hi, I'm Kelly with citruscycles.ca. This is Felt's Bruhaul. It's a long-tailed Bosch-powered cargo e-bike. Now, when I first got this bike, I did an in-depth video review on our website. You can check that out at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find the detailed specs on the bike, current pricing, and you can also find our contact info. So if you'd like to come and try the bike yourself, you can reach out to us from our website, giving us a call or sending us an email. And this bike is also part of our Try at Home program. So if you're on Vancouver Island or the Lower Mainland, we can bring the bike to you to try out. So you can see all the details, like I said, on our website. I've had this bike for well over 1,000 kilometers now, so I thought I'd do a bit of a kind of a long-term review, not so much going through the specs on the bike, but just talking about my experiences and what I really like about the bike and anything that I'd change on it. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, you're not really sure if you need a cargo bike, this is the ideal cargo bike for getting started with. It's super accessible, and a lot of those 1,000+ kilometers that I rode on this bike wasn't when I had cargo. I wasn't hauling kids around, and a lot of times I was. I wasn't necessarily doing grocery shopping, although it's a great bike for that. I actually just really enjoyed riding this bike. It's a really nice riding position, nice posture, and it rides like a regular bike. It's so accessible, so easy to ride. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't really want a cargo bike, but I'd bike more if I had a way of bringing the kids along, or I'd bike more if I could bring all of my groceries, then this is a good bike to consider. You can fit 2 kids on the back there. So you can see I've got the optional seat cushion. So my kids, they're 9 and 14, so they're a little bit older. I don't need to get a child seat, but you can get a child seat and attach it. You could even attach 2 child seats if you needed to. They like having the cushion. It's nice and soft. And I also have the optional footrests down here, which make it really easy to climb on and off and comfortable for the ride. I also have the optional skirt here, which protects their feet from hitting the spokes. So if you're looking for something to bring kids along, this is great. Now, the nice thing about going with this instead of a trailer, riding a bike with a trailer is definitely a different experience, an interesting experience, and it takes there's some issues with maneuverability and with balance and with that sort of thing. When you get a cargo bike like this, where all of the weight is over the rear wheel here, you really don't notice the weight. So I was really surprised when I put 1 or 2 of my kids back here, loaded up with groceries. The bike handles just the same. Even if they're wiggling around a bit, I really don't find that I have any issues with handling or balance. And I think that's partly why I just rode this bike as a regular bike so often, is that longer wheelbase really makes it very stable, really smooth, really enjoyable to ride. So if you're thinking, I'm not sure about a cargo bike, but sure would be nice to, haul the kids around instead of driving, this is great. And that's what I do. I really don't like driving in a vehicle. If I can ride my bike, I'm so much happier. So that's what I do. If I need to take them to ballet or to soccer, they ride on here. Or if you're thinking, you'd like to go on long trips, maybe you'd like to do some camping with your bike camping. This is a great bike for that because you can really load up the back there. It does come with 2 of these fantastic pannier bags. So if you are camping, or if you're going on long trips and you want to bring a lot of stuff, or you're just doing your grocery shopping, you get 2 of these really big bags here. You can partition it off with this zipper here. It comes with a rain cover, which is great. You've got some pockets in here. It folds up nice and small if you want to fold it up. And I can confirm that you can fit frozen pizza boxes in there if you're doing your grocery shopping. You can actually fit a lot in there. And these bags can go on the side rails like I've got it here, or if you don't have the seat cushion up here, you can put it on the main rail. And then you could actually put up to 4 pannier bags on here. If you had different pannier bags you wanted to put on there, you could do that as well. So it's actually, if you start thinking beyond just it being a cargo bike, it's a really versatile bike. It rides like a regular bike. It's super comfortable, but you can load up your kids, your stuff. You could go camping with it. You can go on long trips with it. You could bring a spare battery in the pannier bag and you could ride all day. That's what I was doing for a while. I was just bringing a spare battery. And if you do that, I should mention, do remember to bring the key so that you can remove the battery when this one is depleted and put a different one on. And that would be, my only well, I've got a few things that I'd like to change about the bike. This comes with a Bosch Power Pack 400, so it's a 400 watt-hour battery. Bosch does now have 500 watt-hour batteries, and they are backward compatible, so it'd be really cool if this bike came with that, but of course that's going to increase the price. So if you are traveling really long distances like I was on this bike, you can just buy yourself a spare 500 and then put it in the pannier bag. And the cool thing about that is when you run out of this one, when you switch it out, the 500 gives you 25% more range. So you know you're going to have a long range with the bike. It is with the, it does use the Bosch performance line. I love that. It's one of my favorite e-bike drive systems. Very responsive. Again, you can check out my other video for all the details on how it works, but it's fantastic. Maybe I would like to see them use the Bosch Performance Line CX, which is more of a mountain bike specific drive and provides more torque. But honestly, with this bike, with two kids on the back, and the hills we have here in Ladysmith, I haven't needed it. I've been able to climb every hill. They haven't had to get off and walk, so that's good. That tells you that that's a really good drive system. So let me go back to some of the other things that I like about this bike. So I'm basically, I'm kind of encouraging you, consider this, even if you're not thinking of a cargo bike, but there's times when that would be useful for you. As a regular bike, I really love the riding position. Now, I probably would say most people are going to change this saddle. I don't mind it. It's a fairly aggressive saddle. It would be for more aggressive riding. It doesn't bother me, but for the type of riding you're probably going to do on this bike, you might want to throw on a different saddle. You might even want to do a suspension seat post. But it's nice because it's got a low standover height here, and that's partly because we're using 20-inch tires, and I'll get back to the tires in a moment. But this low standover height makes it really easy to get on and off. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all bike, so you do have a lot of adjustability with the seat post here. On the stem, it is actually an adjustable stem, which is nice. So you can loosen off this bolt here. Just make sure you tighten it back up to the 15 Newton meters that are required. And you can get the stem a little bit higher, the handlebars closer to you or a little bit further away. And in terms of a riding position, like I said, it's really comfortable because it's very upright. So I really feel very confident when I'm riding this bike in traffic. I can control the bike really well. We do have the handlebars have a bit of a swept back design here, but not too much. So it's enough that it's really comfortable, but not too much that you don't feel that you have the handling and control of the bike. So, I can easily hit 50, 60 kilometers an hour going down hills with this bike and still feel completely confident that I'm in control. And part of that is the brakes. It's nice to have the Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. We've got a 180 millimeter rotor in the front, so it's nice when I've got it loaded up, I have complete confidence that I'll be able to stop. Back up at the cockpit here, the other thing I really like about this bike are the grips. Very comfortable, and that's nice for kind of extended rides. You'll notice I've added, it did come with a bell, which is great. I added my own handlebar clamp style water bottle holder because there really isn't any well, there is water bottle cages down here. You could put a cage in there. I don't know why I didn't try it. I guess I could. I'd have to reach back and grab it while I'm riding. I just, threw this one up here because it's easy enough for me to reach and to grab. But there are attachment points for that. So that's, one of my favorite things about this bike is just riding it. It's just a fun bike to ride. It's a nice riding position. The tires, so these are the Schwalbe Big Ben. They're the performance line with the race guard and the light skin. So they actually have a good deal of puncture resistance, which is nice. And they also have this reflective sidewall, which helps you to be really visible. You can see it is a rigid fork. So having the balloon tires with a high volume of air really helps smooth out the ride. Schwalbe actually did some studies and they found that a balloon tire essentially in urban riding situations has the same effect as a front suspension fork. So I do have to say I am really surprised at how well these balloon tires absorb the bumps because it is a rigid fork. Would I like a suspension fork? Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. But do I understand why Felt didn't do that? Yeah, it makes sense to me because you load up this bike with a lot of weight, especially on the rear, and your handling with the suspension fork, especially when you're stopping, is going to be different. It's going to affect things, and you may find yourself kind of bobbing down and up, especially down when you're stopping, and that can be disconcerting. So I kind of get why they would have went with a rigid fork. Maybe one with remote lockout or something like that might be a solution. I don't know. I do find that the balloon tires do really help. And obviously, like, I've done a lot of hard packed gravel trails with this bike, even a few with roots and rocks and stuff like that. But obviously you're not going mountain biking with this. So you should be okay without that suspension fork, especially, get the air pressure a little bit lower in the tires. I usually run them right, maybe 35 PSI, pretty much, at the minimum. And I find that really helps smooth things out. I love the little chain guard on here, so this means my wife says I need something for supper, I can just hop on it and ride down to the store, not worry about changing my clothes, not worry about getting dirty or anything like that. Really easy to work with. There is a little chain guide up here to help with the chain, and down here there's a little pulley. The chain sometimes falls off on the pulley when I'm deploying the kickstand, so I've kind of got used to either having like a little piece of rubber or paper towel or something just to grab the chain and put it back onto the pulley. I don't know that there's really any way around that. Obviously they don't want it's a really long chain, right? And they don't want it dragging on the ground, so they have that little pulley there. So just watch that kind of stays on. We do have the 10-speed Shimano Dior. A little tip, it does have the Shadow Plus, which is a clutch you can enable to prevent the chain from flopping around as much. I actually turned that off. I like the fact that it kept the chain tighter, but when you've got such long shifting cables, which are run through the frame, which I really like, I found that with that clutch on, it just made the shifting a little bit slower, a little bit harder. And so I turned that off, and now I find the shifting to be a little bit snappier. So the 10 speeds is nice. Where I live, really steep hills, I wouldn't mind one more gear, but I've managed with it. I've never found a hill here in Ladysmith that I haven't been able to make it up with this bike, with the gearing and with the motor, even with a couple of kids on the back. Having said that, I wouldn't mind, adding an 11 speed, but I think I'm saying that because I also have a mountain bike with 11 speeds, and, you kind of get used to that. But really, for the types of hills, I'm talking 25-30% gradients. I haven't had an issue with climbing it with that gearing, so it's really not an issue. Built-in fenders is great. Built-in lighting, which runs off the main battery, is fantastic. It even has a reflector built in, which is really nice. So just makes it so, again, it's just a super accessible bike. You don't have to worry about getting lighting and remembering to recharge it and all of that. It's all built in. Trying to think of any other things. Like I said, one of my favorite features is just the riding position. It's very comfortable, very responsive. It looks long, it doesn't feel long. When you ride it, it just handles like a regular bike. So I really like that about it. And actually I love these pannier bags. Like I said, they come with the rain covers, which is great. You can stuff a lot of stuff in there and really go long distances with the bike. So if you'd like to come and give this a try yourself, you have questions about it, or you're wondering, which kind of cargo bike is the best for me, head over to our website and contact us from there at citruscycles.ca. I'll try to do a few comparison videos of some of the other cargo bikes we have as well. The other nice thing that I should mention about this bike is it's really light. Compared to a lot of other cargo bikes, it's exceptionally light for an e-cargo bike, and that, again, makes it so accessible. If this is your first time on a cargo bike, you're going to get on it and you're going to ride it, and you'll just be amazed that it handles like a regular bike. So as a starting point, as a first cargo bike, this is a great bike. Again, head over to citruscycles.ca if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you.